If you are one of my returning subscribers, you have no doubt noticed that I have released a ton of videos recently talking about third-party graders. Oh no, White Cross, is this going to be another one of these really long, boring videos about third-party graders? Kind of. Actually, this is kind of an exciting new development that I wanted to talk about with you guys. It is the emergence of a new stickering service. And I know I saw a bunch of people whose eyes just kind of rolled again talking about stickering and how unusual, strange, bizarre, and unnecessary that may be. Bear with me. This is kind of an interesting journey, and I think that this has got some very interesting, very nuanced, but some very important possibilities. And I want to see what you think about that too. If you are new to the channel, my name is White Cross. You can call me White. You can call me Dub C. I answered pretty much anything. And if you're new to the channel, I want to thank you for being here today. Hopefully you'll subscribe to the channel also, my returning subscribers. Thank you guys, as always, for being with me on these journeys. I enjoy this a lot. I like to begin each of my videos with a simple disclaimer. That disclaimer is that I am not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to offer you any kind of financial advice. I'm simply trying to share some of my experience having bought and sold precious metals and rare coins for the last 30 or 40 years. So what you see uniquely here is something that I don't typically have in my screenshots, is this box. And you can see that it says Collectible Market Qualified, that's CMQ. And that is a new stickering service. I'm going to touch on just a little bit about the concept of a sticker, a little bit of the concept of a slab. I know you more advanced coin collectors, numismatists out there are probably already pretty intimately familiar with this, but I'd like to bring you newer collectors, those folks that are bridging that gap between precious metal stacking and coin collecting. I want to kind of drag you along kicking and screaming on this journey. We're going to talk about some concepts that are awfully nuanced, but I think it's really important to kind of expand your vocabulary, to really sink your teeth into this part of coin collecting, because I do feel like this has got some interesting potential. Bear with me. Like I said, I think this is going to be a fun one. Third-party graders. We talk about them often. Those are supposed to be completely independent, disinterested groups, organizations, businesses really, who will, for a small fee, take your coin. They will examine it for authenticity. They will examine it to kind of give you a grade on that piece. And then they will sonically seal your coins in one of these plastic cases that we call slabs. The idea is that you can't touch the coin anymore, because that preserves the condition of the coin. And that's important when it comes time to sell your coin. You can actually sell these now pretty much sight unseen, and that's a topic we'll talk about a little bit later here, with collectors all around the country and all around the world who will appreciate the fact that the third-party grader that you have gotten your grades from, they will believe those grades if you've used a quality third-party grader, and it becomes much easier to facilitate buying and selling coins. I argue that's one of the most interesting and important developments in the field of numismatics in the last 50 years or so. So third-party grader is the company that grades your coin and puts it into one of these holders. They would call these holders, we call them slabs in the coin community. So these are examples of slabs from some of the most important third-party graders. Why sticker them? That's a really good question. And by sticker, I'm talking about this little green sticker here. This is an example of a sticker. It's a really strange kind of nuanced thing, but bear with me again. I think this is an interesting development. Stickering came about really probably several decades ago. I believe it was in the mid to late 1990s by a dealer of American copper coins specializing in cents. His name is Snow. And he would take the coins that he had seen that had been graded by PCGS and NGC, kind of the top two third-party graders out there. And if he liked the coin, he would put one of his stickers on it. Now, it's not just as subtle as a sticker, right? The sticker is really just a visual representation of what we're talking about here. The entire concept is that you're getting a second opinion. So you've already sent your coin, or you've purchased a coin in one of these rigid plastic holders we call slabs. This is an example of a slightly earlier NGC slab. And if you want to have a second opinion, you could send this coin to an organization like this one here. This green one, it comes from CAC, or Certified Acceptance Corporation. They'll take a look at your coin in a slab, and it has to be within one of the higher tiered third-party graders, in this case NGC or PCGS. And for a small fee, they will examine it and see if they agree with the grade that's been assigned. Now, you might be thinking, why do that, right? Why would you bother with something like that? What's the whole purpose? If this coin has already been graded, this seems like it's superfluous. And I would agree up to an extent, but the market doesn't really seem to see it that way. And this is one of those subtle directions I'll head off in and see if you can stay with me on this. This is an example of an MS65 Morgan silver dollar. I won't bore you talking about the Sheldon grading scale. We've talked about that enough. If you don't understand that, I'll put a couple of videos down below where we'll get into it and you can really kind of learn a little bit more about it. But this is a typical example, a slightly older PCGS holder. You can see it says PCGS up there, Professional Coin Grading Service. So this is an example of an older holder. We would call this an OGH, an original green holder in the vernacular of us bizarre coin collectors. So this is an MS65 Morgan dollar. Morgan dollar's perennial favorite of coin collectors everywhere. Everybody loves Morgan dollars. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of Morgan dollars, but don't tell anybody. This is a 65. That's a really nice, solid grade. We would consider this almost kind of an investment grade Morgan dollar. You can see it's got pretty champagne toning over the surfaces here. We will be talking about toning in some other videos coming up very soon, I promise. But if you flip this coin over, you see that it's got this sunburst of toning here that is actually very pretty. You can see it's got some cobalt, some bright orange. There's some red thrown into the mix, a little bit of yellow. This isn't the most stunning example of toning ever, but it's nice. I think it adds something to the coin. How much does it add to the coin? Well, if this is a 65, right, and you had a choice between a 65 that didn't have this tone and a 65 that does have this tone, I think a lot, not all, but a lot of collectors would probably snap this one up first. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you that there are tiers within TIERS, not TEARS. There are tiers within each individual grade, right? Not every 65 is created equal. So this was recognized, and it's been kind of common knowledge for collectors and investors for a long time, but it was really almost kind of codified by a man named John Albanese, who was the founder of NGC. And he kind of came out with this treatise almost that said there are essentially 3 levels within each grade. So a coin can be a technical 65, but if it's got something else going on, right? If it's an exceptional strike, if it's got very few contact or bag marks, if it's got pretty original toning, if it's got great luster, if it's got some fantastic toning like this one does, at least in my opinion, I think it does. Let me know down below if you think it is. This would be kind of a higher tier. He would call this probably, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I feel pretty confident that he would say that that was an A quality MS65. A typical MS65, maybe it doesn't have toning, but it's still a solid coin. It's still a very pretty 65. 65 is a nice grade. He would probably call those a B quality. And that's kind of what you would expect, right? If you were buying a piece, picking out 10 MS65 and laid them out on a table, there would be probably 2 or maybe 3 of these really nice ones, maybe only 1 or 2 of these really nice ones. And then the vast majority, maybe another 5 or 6, would be this kind of middle of the road, what you would expect for an MS65 Morgan dollar. But then there would also probably be some MS65s that just don't quite pass muster. So these pieces might have excessive bag marks, like right across Liberty's nose, something that's really distracting like that, or right across the date. These are places where your eyes are drawn when you're looking at a coin, when you're examining it. What if there's a great big mark right across the eagle's breast or across the eagle's face? Something that's kind of distracting. What if instead of kind of attractive tone, it had splotchy or mottled tone? You know, it's still 65. It still meets that technical requirement of the preservation of the everything else is still a 65, but it just misses, you know. That would probably be seen as a C quality. And the market would probably, in kind of a Gresham's Law kind of way, they would snap up the A's and the B's, right? Those would be the ones that you would want, but nobody would really want the C's. You don't want to get stuck with that C quality chair when the music stops. And Albanese kind of really codified that, and he started a business called CAC, where you could send the coins that you have already certified by NGC and PCGS to him, and he would, for a small fee, decide whether or not he thought it was an A or a B quality coin, or a C quality. And if he thinks it's an A or a B quality, he assigns it one of these little green stickers. Again, the sticker is just the visual representation. That's not the whole shebang. They actually keep databases, CAC and the other stickering services keep databases where they record every single coin that's sent to them. And your potential buyer, should that time come, can actually access that information and see exactly what quality CAC or one of the other stickering services thought of those pieces. So again, don't get caught up in the stickering. The stickering is just kind of a function of this entire process. But it's a nice visual representation. I think the stickers are kind of attractive. And if you have watched my videos before, you know that I am drawn towards the older slabs. I think that they add something of interest. And that's kind of the conundrum that I've talked about in the past. So you have stickering services, CAC grades kind of classic American coins from, about the early federal period up until I think about the 1950s, 1960s. And then there are stickering services that only look at modern coins. That would be a service like QA Check. They only look at modern pieces, modern bullion. There's a company called Wings that only looks at foreign coins. Now, your perspective of what's foreign might be different than mine. I'm in the United States, so everything outside of the United States is a foreign coin. Wings will grade those, will sticker those also. So there's not much of an overlap between these stickering services. They all have kind of an important niche. And that's what I wanted to talk about, is the conundrum of vintage slabs. And that's where I think the interesting thing comes into play here about the new service, and we'll talk about it here just in a few moments, Collectible Market Qualified. So the conundrum that I mentioned before, and again, this is a little bit nuanced. Stick with me. I will try to explain it the best I can. I think you can probably grab it if you pay attention. When coins started being graded for the first time by third-party graders, it really goes back to the mid to early, let's call it the mid-1980s. That would be NGC and PCGS. Now, I've done entire videos about some of the other grading services that have already come and gone. Some of them are fantastic. Some of them are really bad. And I'll put links to those videos down below too. So PCGS and NGC, kind of the most important grading services, when they first started grading coins, they were very conservative. And I use that term a lot. Let me kind of explain what I mean by that. When they first started grading coins, you could argue very easily that grades of coins were kind of an unknown quantity. They didn't really know what to expect. And it's my belief that because of that, they had to grade coins as conservatively as possible within certain parameters. So let me give you for example. If you sent them this coin without it being certified, a raw coin is what we would call this, and they took a look at it and they thought, man, this coin is nice. There is something very special about this coin. It's a very nice, solid coin for its grade. So we would like to give this coin a grade of maybe a 66. But they didn't know how many 66s were out there, and they couldn't qualify this coin as being a 66, because what if a genuine 66 came in 6 months later, a year later, 3 years later? Not necessarily for the Morgan Dollar series, but even in more scarce series. So they had to kind of leave wiggle room to be able to insert that new coin into their philosophy of what the coin grades were, allowing for a little bit of give, because over time it was very possible and even likely those higher grade coins would start to emerge, and then they would know for certain what those higher grade coins were. So they had to err on the side of caution. They had to bring those grades down a little bit. Some people argue that there's a phenomenon taking place in the market called gradeflation, and that is simply that grades used to be conservative and now they are very liberal. I'm proposing that this is kind of the reason why that happened. Some people say it's kind of almost nefarious that they're doing it intentionally. I understand the argument, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Let's look at a much more scarce coin. Say, you have a branch mint. Anything that's not struck by Philadelphia is considered kind of a branch mint. Our early 1800s, early to mid 1800s, $1 gold piece. And there are very few of those on the market, and what exist on the market are often cleaned. They are messed with, they've been wiped. There's something about them that's kind of amiss. So when you're grading these pieces, you probably had to take some of that into consideration, and you didn't know if that stellar MS68 or MS69 condition was going to appear. And maybe it never did, but because you had to leave kind of that mental placeholder where that 67, 68 might slip into your grading scale, if you had one that you ordinarily might have said was a 67, you again kind of pulled back your grades to a 66 to allow for the eventuality of that 67 appearing on the marketplace. And that's really what I kind of feel they did. Are there degrees of this gradeflation going on? Sure, I suppose that there are market push and pull. People say that it's very possible that the third-party graders are intentionally offering looser grades now, which means you submit a coin now and you're supposedly going to get a higher grade because it encourages people to resubmit coins over and over again. And the third-party graders get paid every time you submit a coin. So that's kind of the concept of gradeflation. And while we're talking about resubmitting, and that's kind of the direction that I'm going, and this is the conundrum that I've talked about again. And I'll touch on another conundrum a little bit later. I know, I told you this was going to be nuanced. You're going to have to stick with me. So what happens if you have a coin that was graded a long time ago, like this one, and you think that it was probably one of those coins that maybe they pulled the grade back down a little bit just to be safe? Well, you might resubmit this coin now in the 2020s rather than the 1980s and hope that this coin would come back with a higher grade. Now, I've talked before about that a little bit. That's called cracking out. And the idea of busting one of these slabs to get the coin out and resubmitting it can mean the difference of tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you've got a really scarce coin that had an old grade of 65, and you break that coin out and resubmit it now in the 2020s, then if that coin comes back a 65 or a 66 or a 67 on the Sheldon grading scale, or maybe even a 68, you are talking about tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars more value in rare series, and even several $100s in some of the more common series. That's your incentive, right? To crack these coins out and to resubmit them. So what does that mean of the surviving population of these original older holders? Well, it means that the coins that you could tell are exceptional, and astute collectors and investors can look at these pieces through the slabs and can see if this coin is truly exceptional, and they might go ahead and break the coin out and resubmit it. So the number of really exceptional coins that are left in these older slabs is decreasing every single day. More and more of these are coming to light. They're finding the way into the market after having been in collections for 30 or 40 years. They're being examined by professionals who know what they're doing. They're breaking the coins out that are really good, and they're sending them back in hopes of getting higher grades. That's the nature of the crack-out game, something that we've been experiencing for the last quarter of a century. But what does that mean for the coins that aren't exceptional? Well, it means that those pieces aren't being touched. Nobody's going to spend $500, $800, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 buying a coin in one of these holders if they can, again, examine that coin through the holder and determine that something is off. Remember, I talked about the A, B, and C quality of those coins for every grade. What if you've got one that is clearly a C quality? What if you've got one that's got a great big thumbprint across Liberty's face? And because the oils on your fingers and the acids in your hand might not emerge very quickly, they can emerge over a long period of time. When that coin was first placed in the slab 30, 35 years ago, the graders might not have even noticed it. But over the last 10 or 20 years, that thumbprint is slowly starting to emerge and become very apparent. What if that coin had been in a PVC holder and the PVC was almost invisible when it was originally placed in the holder, but now you can see the PVC is turning into green gunk on the surface of the coin? That happens. I've had that happen to me. There could be putty on the coins. There could be several different things that are going on with the quality of the coin that, even though it was in a 65 holder, you can look at it now and see there is no way that coin would ever be reslabbed as a 65 or a 66 or a 67. Maybe it wouldn't even ever be reslabbed again for having these issues apparent now for modern graders. So the people that have these coins, these C or D quality, even if you want to go there, in these original slabs, aren't going to break them out, which means that that population is stable. But the number of good coins in those old slabs is rapidly decreasing, which means the ratio of very good coins in these old holders is rapidly becoming much more weighted to the side of bad coins remaining in these original holders. Again, nuance, but you see where I'm going with this. And I've talked about it a little bit at length, but the nice thing about a company like Certified Acceptance Corporation or some of the other stickering services out there is that they will look at the slab, no matter how old the slab is. So it could be the first generation NGC or PCGS slabs. And in fact, I've got examples like that in my more core collection of these original holders, these old ones that are now 35, almost 40 years old. And I make the case that that's part of our numismatic history. Third-party graders are an important development. And like every collector, I am drawn towards things that are original, things that are older, things that are nostalgic, things that have some originality, and more importantly, as we just talked about, things that are rapidly disappearing from our numismatic history because of crackouts. So again, CAC will take a look at a slab, and it doesn't matter how old it is. They're just looking at the coin and the grade. And if they think that the grade is that B or A quality, they will assign one of these green stickers to it. Again, just the visual representation. It's not really what they're doing. They're adding it to their database so that it can be researched in the future. They are offering their guarantee in their opinion, and it's always just an opinion, but it's a very educated opinion, that the coin is at least an A, or at least a B, which is solid for the grade, or even an A, which is exceptional for the grade. So the nice thing about these services is that they were keeping these original older coins in the original older holders. They didn't have to be broken out anymore. The value of a coin in a green holder, with a green sticker on it rather, is essentially the same as having it crack out and being at least in that same category, in that same grade category. And again, an example of our 65 here. But what if you thought this coin was actually a 66 and you were going to crack it out? Well, you could send this one to CAC also, and CAC may apply a gold sticker. The gold sticker is kind of the holy grail for a lot of people of coins, with coins. And the gold sticker means simply that the coin within, in CAC's opinion, is not simply an A or a B quality. They feel like this coin is at least one grade higher than the original grade shown on the slab. So in this case, a 65 would actually be a 66. Now, we've talked before a little bit about how Albanese never really defined higher. He just said at least one grade higher. And there are many people within the collecting community who feel like that is really kind of a conservative thing to say. The gold stickers appear so infrequently that when you see one, you automatically think, and right or wrong, the market seems to believe this as well, that coin is not just one grade higher. It may even be 2 or 3 or 4 grades higher than the original grade given on the slab. And the nice thing about the gold stickers is that according to Albanese and CAC, the coins that receive a gold sticker would get a green sticker even at the next higher grade up. So it's almost a guarantee that the coin based within this older slab, if it receives a gold sticker, is so exceptional that it would still get a green sticker. It would still get CAC's mark of approval, even at the next grade. And the marketplace has gone crazy for those. So the gold stickers really have some cachet. They really add something. And that definitely protects these older holders with the exceptional coins in them, assuming they get a gold sticker. Very few coins with gold stickers are going to get busted out, broken out, and resubmitted. That gold sticker adds conceivably even more than the coin would receive getting a higher grade or two back from a modern third-party grader's grade. Again, nuanced, I know. But that served to protect a lot of the older holders with all the really nice coins in them. So while that ratio was definitely starting to favor the yucky coins that were still in these older holders, the fact that you could have CAC apply a gold sticker or a green sticker to it meant that these coins had new life. They were going to be safe in these older holders. And again, I feel like that's important and protecting an important part of our numismatic history. And then CAC has decided that they are going to stop stickering coins. That is problematic, and I think that brings us back to square one with the idea of these coins being broken out. No longer will they be qualified to get a green or a gold sticker, which means that these coins have no reason to remain in these original slabs if they haven't already gotten this green or the gold sticker from CAC. And those coins will be broken out and resubmitted, and we'll be losing that numismatic history once again. So that's the conundrum. That's the problem that I've addressed a few times recently. And again, I'll put some links to the videos down below where I talk about this a little bit more at depth. But that's not really what this video is about, because John Albanese and CAC has already said that they're going to stop stickering coins. Now, they already gave an original timeline of about 10 years. That goes back about 2 years ago. So there's maybe 8 years left on the clock before they stop stickering, but it's my contention that they're probably going to stop doing this a lot sooner than the 8 years or so. I would predict the timeline is probably less than 5 years, maybe even less than that. Primarily because CAC actually launched their own grading service. Again, originally CAC only stickered coins that had come from PCGS and NGC. But that means that they are essentially stickering their competitors' slabs. So they launched their own service, which is supposed to be pretty conservative, as I understand it. This is an example of what their new slabs look like. And this is an example of one of their sample coins. I'm actually a CAC member, so I can submit coins directly to them. They sent those out to all of their members when they launched this new grading service. So the idea is now they're not going to be stickering NGC or PCGS slabs. They want you instead to submit coins to them so they can place the coins in their own holders, right? That's how they're going to be making their money going forward. And it's logical and it stands to reason. But again, that doesn't do anything to protect these older holders. It's a relatively new development. I believe it's been about 2 years since they kind of launched this, and it seems to be going relatively well so far. John Albanese launched NGC, right? And that's one of these examples of these NGC slabs that you see here. The other major third-party grader has always been PCGS. Some people might disagree, some people would agree, some people might place one above the other, but they're really very, very similar. They're both widely regarded as being quality third-party graders within the coin collecting community. John Albanese, who went on to launch CAC, originally launched NGC. PCGS was originally launched by several dealers, but the main one that most people think about is David Hall. So David Hall was one of the original 5 or 6 dealers who got together to launch PCGS, and they were both launched within a few months of each other, and they were both highly regarded. And Albanese and Hall considered some of the best graders the world has ever seen. They are some of the biggest dealers in coins. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars every year in sales between these two dealers. So when CAC announced that they were probably going to start scaling back on stickering in favor of their own slabbing services, David Hall, along with the current CEO of Stax Bowers. Stax Bowers is one of the most important auction companies for coins in the world, not just in the United States. Greg Roberts is his name. David Hall and Greg Roberts announced that they would begin a stickering service called Collectible Market Qualified. And this is a really interesting development because, again, CAC launched by John Albanese of NGC, and now Collectible Market Qualified being launched essentially by David Hall of PCGS, no longer with PCGS, but still kind of associated with PCGS in a very big way. That's exciting. And their idea, Quality Market Qualified, is really kind of designed to recapture that original idea that coins should be able to trade sight unseen on a market, almost like a stock market. And that was really kind of what happened with the third-party graders in the first place. That's really one of the reasons why they came about. But again, a coin could technically be a 65 and still be one of those C quality grades. And you don't want to pay good money for one of those C quality coins. If you're going to shell out good money, you're going to want the A quality, or maybe if you have to, the B quality. So that's really kind of the concept with the whole collectible market qualified business that David Hall and Greg Roberts opening kind of in conjunction with Stax Bowers. And the website says that, and I'll just give you the quote here, Hall and Roberts will assess each coin for its quality, its eye appeal, and grades. Coins that Hall and Roberts unanimously agree meet CMQ's rigorous standards will be recognized as qualified and granted a tamper-resistant hologram sticker symbolizing a mark of approval. And that's what you see here. So in a very similar style to this CAC, this is a new CMQ sticker. And you can see it's kind of the Stax Bowers griffin there, I think. David Hall, I think, has used that character in the past as well. So this is an exciting development in coins, especially if it is something that CAC is going to start phasing out. This is a lifeline, if you will, to those older holders. And for somebody who collects the older holders, I really appreciate that. Now, I sent a selection of coins to CMQ about a month ago, and let me just give you a little bit of my experience with them. First off, customer service, absolutely top notch. I mean, it's been a long time since I've commented favorably about customer service for anything. And I'm not towing their water for them. I went with a completely eyes open but neutral position. And the first thing that really struck me was how nice the customer service people were that I spoke with. I spoke with two of them, incredibly helpful, incredibly friendly. That was a really nice thing to hear. I like that a lot. And it really instills confidence. Not that I didn't have any in Stax Bowers or Hall or Roberts in the first place. Of course you do. But just to know that your pieces are being sent to people who are going to treat them literally with kid gloves, it makes you feel pretty good. The service itself took about 3 weeks, maybe a little bit longer than I would have wanted to, but if you saw the recent Coin Safari videos that I did where I sent a group of raw coins to NGC, you know that took the better part of 3 months to get these pieces back. And to be fair to them, I believe it was the fun show that was happening right at the end of when these coins would have arrived. So it's very possible and even likely that they were still wrapped up in one of the major coin shows of the year. And I'll give them a bit of a break for that. Something like that takes precedence, and it has to. That's their bread and butter. But aside from that, within 3 weeks, I had the grades posted, and it was literally 2 or 3 days later, the coins were back in my hands. So the speed was nice. The customer service was fantastic. The price, I want to say it was about $20 per coin. I think that's right. They have higher tiers. If you're sending them more expensive coins, they are more expensive. The groups that I sent, nothing was valued over $5,000 or $6,000. So all of those coins, I think, were right in that $20 range. So that's a very affordable thing. But again, a nuanced thing. If you've got a coin that is in an NGC holder, that is something that is John Albanese's legacy. And now with the CMQ sticker, it is something that's David Hall's legacy. So to have a piece like this one that has been seen or at least kind of touched, not physically, but kind of psychologically by Albanese and David Hall in the same coin, that's pretty amazing, right? That's a pretty neat thing. And for $20, of course, why wouldn't you? You're not going to send a $20 coin to them. Hopefully you don't have $20 coins in slabs. Actually, I know that I have some of those too. But for a nice coin, if you want to know that piece is going to become much easier to sell, much more sought after, as we've seen with CAC pieces, they bring premiums 10, 20, sometimes 30% above a non-stickered coin. Then for $20 and a couple of weeks wait, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it really makes sense, especially for those better coins. Now, CMQ only grades coins in a particular area. They're really kind of focusing on classic American coins. I don't think they're doing foreign coins. At least they haven't started to yet. But the nice thing is that they're guaranteeing us that Hall and Roberts, some of the most important graders in the field right now, are examining every single one of the coins that they sticker, and they have to unanimously agree that the coin qualifies. And yes, they are making a market in these pieces, which means they will happily buy these back from you because they have already seen these and they know that these coins meet their rigorous standards. CAC does pretty much the same thing. Albanese is still a very important player in coins. And now the idea that David Hall and Greg Roberts are seeing these pieces and making a market in them, I think is phenomenal. So this is a neat piece, and I talked about it a little bit before because this piece originally I bought mid-2023 from a local dealer, and this is a Numismatic Certification Institute. This is a service that was the first coin grading service privately owned, and that would have dated to about the mid-1980s as well. This piece this company was started by a man named Jim Halprin. So to have a coin that was originally kind of associated with Jim Halprin, and then I sent it to NGC, which obviously from a 63-63 grade, that's obverse and reverse, NGC felt that it was a 64 grade. Now there's a little bit of that gradeflation, maybe, right? And now to have David Hall's fingerprint on it, lovingly referred to, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, is a pretty neat thing. Halprin, Albanese, and David Hall, all for, 20, 30, 40 bucks, maybe, combined. It's definitely worth it. I think it adds something special. That definitely reintroduces that special thing that could be the savior of these vintage holders. Now, there's every other coin that CMQ is looking at has the potential to benefit from this service, but it's really those vintage holders that are at risk of being broken out and ruined, destroyed forever, that I think can really benefit from these, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about it. I'll give you one other example, and I will be doing videos on some of the other pieces that I sent in as we go a little bit deeper into coins over the next coming months and maybe even years. This is one of the most exciting coins that I picked up about 5 years ago. Really briefly, 1921 peace dollar, one of my favorite coins. I know a lot of people like the 1921 peace dollar also. Remember, I said that I wasn't a huge fan of Morgan dollars. This one is exceptional. This also an OGH from PCGS, so we know that this holder probably dates back, I believe, to the early 1990s. When I saw this at a local dealer, I was originally kind of floored by it. That doesn't happen to me very often. Yes, I'm wiping this off with my shirt as I'm talking to you. I had a thumbprint right across it. You see how creamy white those fields are. I mean, that is a stunning coin, and that is really unusual. I've looked at dozens, if not hundreds, of 1921 peace dollars. And if you don't know, 21 peace dollar, that was the first year they made them, and they made them in what we call a very high relief. They were the dies that were used to prepare them, the hardened pieces of metal that come together to strike the coin, the front and the back, with an etched design. That's how coins are made. These were really high relief designs. The Mint was really excited to release this piece and wanted a very three-dimensional almost look and feel to these pieces. So the 1921, a relatively small mintage, the first year of issue, and a really high relief. And the interesting thing about this piece, and I didn't know it at the time, when I forked over the whole $400 for this piece at my local dealer, and I'm sure he laughed his back behind my back as I was walking out the door, was that something struck me about this peace dollar, no pun intended, but something about it was very special. And when I went home, I realized what it was, and I had to do a little bit of research myself. I'm continuing to grow and to learn also all the time in numismatics. I hope that you do too. Dollars, especially Morgan dollars and peace dollars, have what we call VAMs. VAM is kind of an interesting idea. This is a couple of numismatists back in the 1970s named Leroy Van Allen and George Mallis realize that every pair of dies that come together to strike coins have unique identifiers. They have maybe a little crack here or there. Maybe the die has been polished in a certain way that obliterates a little piece of information on the surface of the coin when it's actually made. It's called a VAM. And they identified pretty much every single pair of dies that was ever used to strike Morgan dollars. And then they branched off into peace dollars also. And some of these VAMs, it's very difficult to tell what they are, but some of them you can clearly see there's something with the naked eye that makes this piece unusual. VAM collectors are out there. They really like to study these pieces. My hat's off to them. Again, I'm not a huge Morgan dollar fan in the first place, but What we knew about this piece, or what I found out about this piece after doing a little bit of research, is that this is VAM 1H. And that's exciting because VAM 1H are business strike peace dollars, 1921 peace dollars, that were struck with dies originally created to strike proof 1921 peace dollars. And the U.S. Mint only struck a handful of proof 1921 peace dollars. I think the number is probably significantly fewer than 20 or 25. I think we know of maybe 8 of them in existence now. And then they turned those dies over to general striking, so business strikes, just the coins that were produced by the mint in mass, were produced, some of them, with these proof dies. And that is VAM 1H. This is an example of VAM 1H. So it is a really exciting VAM because I already said, these 1921 peace dollars struck with a little bit more pressure. It's my belief that they were probably specially prepared dies. I wouldn't be blanks, planchets. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be beyond reason to think that the employees for this first year were a little bit more careful with the striking of these pieces, maybe a little bit higher pressure. We already know that they were a higher relief, that kind of 3D effect. And that's kind of the definition of a proof, right? It's a specially prepared planchet struck with extra pressure, often multiply struck, and then a specially prepared set of dies. That is the definition of a proof. So while these are not proof dollars, VAM 1H is not a proof 1921 peace dollar, is really about as close as you can get to it. I mean, in the entire series of American coins, you don't find a business strike that has those characteristics that bring it that close to being an actual proof. Now, a proof 1921 peace dollar is a $50,000 or $100,000 coin, and no, I don't have one in my collection. But this is kind of a nice thing to have as the next best thing, right? So aside from the fact that this is an older holder, and I had already sent this piece to CAC, where it received a green CAC sticker. This was one of the pieces that I sent to CMQ, and they provided a gold sticker. You see the difference between the two. What does the gold sticker mean? I'll read you again the definition off of their website. A small percentage of coins will be assigned the CMQX, or a Collectible Market Qualified Exceptional Gold sticker. And this is a quote from David Hall. David Hall describes the CMQX coins as coins that, quote, make you shake your head in wonderment. I think that's an awesome quote. To know that this coin, that is a VAM 1H, already struck from proof dies, with an older holder in an MS63 condition, which is a fairly high grade for a 21 piece dollar, has already received a green CAC sticker and now has received this gold sticker from CMQ, saying that it is a coin that made David Hall shake his head in wonderment. Do I think that's special? Is that worth the $20? Yeah, it definitely is. And one more little brief kind of conundrum that I'm kind of hoping that CMQ solves, and that is another theoretical, and I know this video is already running long. If you've stuck with me this long, stick with me a little bit longer. I think it's worth it. So let's take our theoretical gold branch dollar again. Remember, that was the $1 gold coin stuck in a branch mint in the 1850s. That's an unusual coin to begin with. What if you've got one of those that is exceptional? I mean, it is knock your socks off exceptional. This is the nicest of these branch mint dollars that you have ever seen. The tone is phenomenal. It's never been cleaned. It's never been wiped. The strike is beautiful. Everything about this coin is amazing, but there's a little bit of friction on it. You can see that it, not understandably, or not without reason, that this coin that dates back 175 years was actually circulated a little bit, right? So this coin comes back from NGC with an AU58 grade. Let's say that for example. But this coin is amazing, right? This is the nicest AU58 coin you have ever seen. In fact, you can't believe your luck in having this coin. This is one of those coins that David Hall would say would make you shake your head in wonderment. Now, before the invention, before the emergence now of CMQ, you sent that coin to CAC, right? Because that was the only game in town where you could get a second opinion saying that this coin is really as exceptional as you know it to be, right? It's still in the AU58 holder, and it comes back with a green sticker, and you're actually kind of let down, right? The problem, the conundrum that CAC made for itself, it painted itself into a corner, it's my belief, in certain circumstances, Because no matter how amazing that coin is, right, the most knock your socks off, shake your head in wonderment AU58 you've ever seen, that coin is simply never going to cross that boundary between an AU coin and an uncirculated coin. It can't do that. You can look at it objectively and see that, yeah, there is a little bit of wear. So no matter how amazing this 58 is, it's never going to be a 60 or a 61 or 62. It just technically can't be. So you send one of these coins to CAC and it's middle of the road, right? What kind of sticker is it going to get? It's one of those B quality coins, so it's going to get a green sticker, right? You send a nice coin, a really nice coin from the series to CAC, and it's going to come back with a green sticker, right? That's an A quality coin. But your example is the most phenomenal example that has ever walked the earth. I mean, this really is a knock your socks off coin. And you send that coin to CAC, and CAC gives it a green sticker. It can't give it a gold sticker because a gold sticker symbolizes that that coin would grade one grade higher. And this can never cross that boundary. It can't be uncirculated. You can't uncirculate a coin. It is a 58. It is technically a 58. There is no argument that could be made that it's a 60. It just isn't. But it still is the most phenomenal 58 that has ever existed. CAC painted itself into a corner. It can't give it any higher sticker than a green sticker because it's never going to get a gold sticker. It just can't. CMQ did not limit themselves that way. David Hall and Greg Roberts are leaving themselves a little bit of wiggle room. So if that coin that was in that 58 holder is the most phenomenal 58 they have ever seen, in their grading room, when they pass the coin back and forth to each other, they are making each other's head shake in wonderment about how amazing this coin is. They can give the coin a gold sticker. They can give it a CMQX. It's not dependent on being one grade higher in reality. It can just be a coin that makes them shake their head in wonderment. And I think that is a really phenomenal and, again, somewhat nuanced characteristic of CMQ. That is exciting. So a new grading service from one of the most respected and trusted names in coin grading, one of the founders of PCGS, along with the current CEO of Stacked Bowers, to look at your coin, to examine it, and agree that it does deserve that gold sticker is phenomenal and exciting. And I think it's a really, really neat thing, a very positive development, especially for those older holder coins. Maybe we don't have to fear that they're all going to be broken out anymore. Maybe the CMQ is the solution to that question. What do you think? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts about it. Is this roll your eyes, what the world needs now is not another stickering service? Or do you understand its place within numismatics, within third-party grading? Do you understand the concept and the potential that it has, especially for not an unreasonable amount of money, to protect your investment and to see that your coins are really the highest grade coins that you can possibly get? Leave a comment down below, especially you more advanced numismatists out there. Let me know if you agree with me. You learning numismatists, you younger guys, let me know what you think about it. Did it make sense? Do you get all of the nuances there? Maybe I've armed you with a little bit of information to know what to look for, and again, that's always my goal. If you have questions about any of those pieces, if you have questions about any of the stickering services, leave those questions down below. As I'm fond of saying, if you've got that question, chances are somebody else has that question too. Let's answer it for everybody. If you have any suggestions of other videos you'd like to see me make, whatever the area, the series of coins are, leave a comment down below and I'll see if I've got the expertise and the examples so we can make a video, perhaps a video series of those. And if you have not yet subscribed, once again, I'd like for you to subscribe and like the video also. That pushes the video to other people within YouTube's algorithms, other people that share the same interests that you have. And as always, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey as you go deeper into the world of coins and physical precious metals.